Let's be honest, for a lot of leaders, the word HIPAA just brings on a headache. You think of mountains of paperwork and this constant nagging feeling of anxiety. But what if you could flip that script? What if that compliance burden could actually become a strength? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down how to build a clear, actionable plan that does exactly that, turning all that complicated theory into a simple strategy you can actually get started on today.
All right, before we get to the solution, we have to understand the problem. And really, the first step to getting a handle on HIPAA compliance is knowing exactly what's at stake if you get it wrong. And trust me, the numbers might just make your jaw drop.
So let's just rip the Band-Aid off. $5 million. That's not a typo. That was a real settlement a big hospital network had to pay out after a ransomware attack exposed over 1 million patient records. And you want to know why? The investigation found it all boiled down to one thing: inadequate risk management. This isn't some theoretical boogeyman. It's a very real and financially catastrophic possibility.
Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, but that's a huge hospital. Fair enough. But even if you manage to avoid a massive breach, just being compliant has a price tag. For a small or medium-sized business, you're likely spending anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000 every single year just on compliance. So here's the bottom line. You're going to be spending money one way or another. The question is, are you going to spend it proactively or reactively on fines? And that right there, that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The goal is not to just throw more money at the problem and hope it goes away. It's about spending smarter. It's time to shift our whole mindset away from chasing hype and towards optimizing for real, actual value and protection.
This slide lays it out perfectly. You've got two paths. On the left, that's the hype mindset. It's reactive. It's feeling so overwhelmed that you just buy the most expensive, flashy solution you can find and pray it works. It's wasteful. But on the right, you've got the value mindset. This is proactive. This is about knowing your actual risks and making smart, targeted investments to protect yourself. This is where you maximize your ROI. This is the shift we need to make.
Okay, so how do we actually build that value-focused strategy? Well, like any good house, you've got to start with a rock-solid foundation. And when it comes to HIPAA, there are a few things that are just completely non-negotiable for every single organization. And that foundation rests on these 3 pillars. First, a thorough risk assessment, because you can't protect yourself from threats you don't even know exist. Second, you need clear policies and procedures. Think of this as your playbook. And third, ongoing employee training. And this is so critical because your team is your first and most important line of defense.
And just as important as knowing what to build is knowing what can tear it all down. These are the cracks you have to avoid. Skipping your regular risk assessments, treating training like a one-and-done checkbox, and leaning on old, outdated security tech, well, those are the fastest ways to make yourself a target, no matter how good your initial setup was. So, with that solid foundation in mind, now we can build our action plan. This is where the rubber meets the road. We're moving from the what and the why to the how. We're going to walk through a really clear 5-step plan to put all this into practice.
Here's the roadmap. It's super logical. We start with the assessment to see where the problems are. Then we develop our policies, our rulebook. Then we train our team. After that, we invest in the right security tools. And finally, we prepare for the worst-case scenario with an incident response plan. It's a natural flow from discovery all the way to preparation. All right, let's dive into step 1, the risk assessment. Your compliance officer should own this, and you know you're done when you have a vulnerability report in your hands. The quick win here is massive. Instead of guessing where to start, you can immediately focus all your time and energy on the highest risk areas. That's how you get the biggest impact right away.
Step 2 is all about getting those policies down on paper. Your legal or compliance team will probably lead this charge, making sure everything is reviewed and up to date. And here's the quick win that will save you a ton of time. Don't reinvent the wheel. Seriously, use trusted templates. It'll help you get standard, effective practices in place so much faster.
Okay, step 3. We're focusing on your people. HR usually owns this, and you can validate its success just by tracking completion rates and getting feedback. And the quick win here is a real budget saver. Effective training does not have to be expensive. There are tons of amazing, low-cost, and even free online resources out there to keep your team sharp.
Now for the tech. Step 4. Your IT and operations managers are in the driver's seat here, and they should be doing periodic audits to check the tools. The most important quick win to remember is to just start with the essentials. Things like solid data encryption and secure access controls give you a massive amount of protection for a relatively small cost.
And our final step, number 5, is your incident response plan. Your IT security officer owns this, and the goal is to have a documented plan with crystal clear protocols for a breach. The quick win here might be the most critical of all. Set up your communication plan now before a crisis hits. Just knowing who to call and what to say when things go sideways is absolutely invaluable.
So, after you've worked through those 5 steps, this is what your compliance dashboard should look like. A completed risk assessment, updated policies, essential security in place, current employee training, and an incident response plan that's ready to go. This checklist, this is your proof of progress. It's your key to peace of mind.
You know, it's easy to get lost in all the plans and checklists. So let's just zoom out for a second. We've talked a lot about fines and rules, but the truth is, HIPAA compliance isn't just about avoiding penalties. It's about a fundamental promise you make to the people you serve. It's all about protecting your patients' trust. So, what can you do right now, today? Here are your immediate next steps. 1. Schedule that risk assessment. Put it on the calendar. 2. Set up a compliance calendar for the year for your reviews and training. Make it a recurring event. 3. Start investing in those essential security tools. And 4. Begin the process of reviewing and revising your policies. You can start all of this today.
And that brings us to the final question, which, when you think about it, is the only one that really matters. All these steps, all these plans, they all serve a single, higher purpose. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Is your patient's trust your top priority? Because if the answer is yes, then a strong compliance plan isn't a burden at all. It's just part of the mission.